just in case I want it. Right then, let's do it. Oh, you're somewhere different. Where are you?
I'm in Edinburgh.
Oh my God, are you really?
Yeah.
Right. Oh well, look at you. Right, let's crack on then. So let's start off with standing this morning. Come to the end of the mat. We'll start off with some goblin squats. So arms out in front, zombie style. Squat down, heels can lift. Bring one hand down to the mat, so left hand down, right arm up. So just take it into a little rotation. Breathe, etc. And then plonk the right hand down, left arm goes up to the ceiling. And we twist and open. And then bringing both hands down to the mat, let's just walk out to a plank. So walking out, if you need to adjust your feet, that's fine. So just coming out to a nice solid plank. Let's get organized there. And then lowering the chest down to the mat with as much control as we can, elbows bending backwards. So coming all the way down to the mat. The mat seems to be rolled up. Once you're down there, let's take the arms out overhead, legs about hip distance apart, and coming up into a 4-point lift or superwoman. So reaching the arms and legs out long and lifting away from the floor and then releasing back down. Reach the arms, reach the legs, everything should be nice and tight. So calves, quads, glutes, and release. Let's go one more. Lift the arms, lift the legs, reaching as long as you can and releasing back down. And then our little cobra to, we call it shin box. I'm going to go right leg coming over. So I'm going to bring right leg over left, push the floor away and come up into my shin box. And then leaving my left hand down, I'm going to reach the right arm up as I lift the hips. So just opening down the side of the body. Release the hips back down, bring both hands down to the mat, and back down onto your front, and then the other side. So taking the left leg over right, we'll leave my right hand on the floor. So lifting the hips, left arm stretching over. And releasing the hips back down to the floor. Both hands come down, we come back down onto the front. Use the hands to push you back, tuck the toes, walk your hands back, and come back to your goblin position. Arms out in front. And then we're going to start again, bringing left hand down, right arm up into rotation. Right hand down, left hand up, rotating the chest towards the ceiling. Same thing again, we're going to start by walking out into plank. So walk out to a full plank, readjust your feet if you need to, so more hip distance apart if they were wider than that. Nice solid plank, and then we're going to come into our side plank. So I'm going to let my feet pivot over, in this case to the left, which brings my right arm up to the sky, holding in a side plank, and just breathing. Use the inner thighs, squeeze the inner thighs together, it's nice and tight through the glutes. And then pivot the feet back up onto the toes, the hand comes down. Readjust your feet again if you need to, just so you're back into a nice solid plank before we go to the other side. Allow the feet to pivot over, taking the left hand up to the sky, holding your side plank and breathing. Squeeze the inner thighs, squeeze the glutes, give you that little bit of extra support. And then pivoting back through to plank. Again, just readjust your feet if you need to, so you're nice and centered, and then lowering the chest to the floor with as much control as you can. Take the arms out overhead. You could go more narrow, wider, choose your angles with your hips and your legs, and then lifting arms and legs, reaching away, plenty of space between the ears and the shoulders, and releasing back down. Lift and reach, and release. Let's go one more time. Lift and reach, and releasing back down, back to our cobra to shin box. So right leg over left, leaving your left hand on the floor so that you can reach right arm up and over as you lift the hips. Releasing back down, both hands come to the floor, you come back down onto your front, and then over to the other side, leaving the right hand down, left lifts with the hips. Releasing the hips back down, coming all the way back down onto your front. And then same again, we're going to push back through all fours, walk the hands back, tuck the toes, put back into our little goblin squat, reaching the arms forward. My lash in my eye. And then same thing again, right hand comes down or left hand comes down, right arm up to the ceiling, rotating the chest open. Opposite hand down, twist and open. Release the hands, walk out to the plank. Now again, readjusting the feet and the hands as necessary, just nice solid plank centered on your mat. Hold and breathe there. And then same thing, I'm going to pivot over into a side plank, whichever side. Just going to do both. One hand coming to the ceiling. And then we're going to take your top leg back behind your bottom leg. So we're coming into a wild thing. So you're on the toes, the knees bent, and then you're going to reach the arm up and over. Very similar to our crab reach. This is definitely a yoga move. Wild thing. Bottom arm quivering away. Release the hand back to the ceiling and then organize your top leg back in front of your bottom leg so that you could pivot back up onto your toes, back into your plank. So same again on the other side. Allow the feet to pivot over. You'll finish up with your top leg in front of your bottom leg. Find your side plank first. And then very carefully take your top leg behind, up onto your toes, knee bent, and then reaching the arm overhead as you lift the hips up nice and high into your wild thing. Hold and breathe. Arm comes back to the ceiling. Nice again, carefully bring that top leg back over in front so you could pivot back over into your plank. Again, readjust as necessary, just so you're centered. So when you lower your chest to your floor, got nice control over that. Down we go. Reach the arms, reach the legs. You choose a different angle. You could go a bit wider, a bit narrower, whichever. Reach the arms and lift. Reach the legs away. Tight quads, tight calves, tight glutes. And release down. Reach and lift. Release down. Let's go one more. Reach the arms, reach the legs. And release. And then up into our shin box with a reach. So right over left. Left hand stays on the floor so you can lift the hips and reach the right arm overhead. Release it back down. Over we go to the opposite side. Lift the hips, reach the top arm. And release it back down and rotate back over onto your front and then just come up onto all fours. Oh, wrestling. 1 second while I take this off. It gets stuck under my wrist. So we're on all fours. Nice and long through the spine. You're going to bring your right foot outside your right hand. So a nice long lunge position. If you want to walk the left leg back a little bit, you want to really try and sink the hips down towards the mat. And from here, just going to create some little circles. I'm keeping my back knee down today just for a little bit of variation. Little circles with the hips or big circles, depending on your viewpoint. Reverse them when you're ready. And then pausing there, same story as usual, coming up onto the outside edge of your foot and sending your knee out to the side. So out and in. So just prying open the hip. Well, let's just take that into a little bit of a hamstring stretch. So bring the foot back down and then just push back from there. So I'm going to leave my foot down on the floor. So I'm not trying to straighten my leg, and I'm leaving my hands where they are, and I'm just pushing forward and back. And for me, it's very gentle on this side because I've kind of got, I don't know, got a tight hamstring on this side for some reason. So do as I say, not as I do. You might get a little bit further back than I do, but my hamstring's giving me some grief. So this is the extent of my movement this morning. And then we're going to combine that hip pry with this movement. So as you come forward, stay forward, you're going to come onto the outside edge of the foot, so the knee's coming out to the side. Then I'm going to press back to open the hamstring, and I'm going to allow the foot to come back down as I come forward. So it's just a circular movement with the hip and the leg. So out to the side with the knee, pushing back, and then foot comes back down and I come back forward. Yeah, and just one more. And we'll switch sides. So coming back to all fours. Step the left foot forward, outside the left hand. Again, if you want to walk your right leg back a tad, so you come into a longer lunge position, then really try and sink the hips down towards the floor. Same thing here, little circles with the hips to start with. And reversing your circles when you're ready. It's when you realize that this hamstring is also tight. One of those mornings. Happy New Year, hamstring tightness. Okay, and then from there, same thing, coming out to the outside edge of the foot and pushing the knee out to the side. So just prying open and the hip, opening the groin. And then foot comes flat and we push back. So you're straightening the leg as much as you can. It won't go straight, that's not the plan, but it is just to open the hamstring a little bit. So you're pushing back and forward. And then same thing, combining the prying movement with the hamstring movement. So I'm going to come onto the outside edge of my foot, knee out to the side, and then where I press back into my hamstring stretch, the foot will automatically really come back down to square, and then you come forward. So outside edge of the foot, push away, foot comes back down, and you come forward. Outside edge of the foot, start to straighten the leg, foot back to square, and then forward. A couple more, just circling around. And one last time, out to the side, push it back, and come all the way back around. And then we'll take that foot back where it came from and just come off your wrists for a moment. You can come into your wrist release position if you need to before we move on into some of our floor work. Okay, so entirely up to you, depending on what floor you've got, especially if you're in a hotel somewhere in Edinburgh. I'm going to get rid of my mat so I can pivot a little bit more easily on my toes. Right, so let's just start off with some activations. Let's start off in Beast. So toes tucked, knees under belly button line, so a smaller base than our usual all fours. And then just make sure that you aren't tucked under with the pelvis, so you could do a few pelvic tilts there, find your happy medium somewhere in the middle, pushing the floor away, making sure the shoulder blades are nice and wide on the rib cage at the back. And then hovering the knees just an inch off the floor, so activating our Beast. So there should be some tension sort of underneath the armpits into the lats, a little bit of tension in the glutes. Breathing. Core is obviously working and engaged. And then release the knees back down. I'm going to do that one more time. Push the floor away, hover the knees an inch off the floor. Gripping the floor lightly with the fingertips. And then lower the knees back down. And then from there, we're going to come over into a crab position, however you want to get there. So when you're in your crab, nice and proud through the chest, the most common thing I see is to make your crab too big, and people finish up here in this position. Yeah, so you want to make sure that your crab is relatively narrow, so a big capital M shape. Your bottom just halfway between your heels and your hands. Chest nice and lifted, shoulders pulling back, and then push into your hands to lift your hips up off the floor. You don't want to lift the hips by tucking under. You want to keep your butt stuck out. So gaze towards the rising sun and pushing down with the hands, not collapsing into my shoulders. Free through the neck. And then lower the hips. Before we go again, push the floor away to lift the hips up. Breathe and hold. And then from here, let's take that into an under switch. So let's go left leg under switch, which will bring us back to our beast position. So left leg under switch, left leg lifts. Right foot comes up onto the toes. We pivot over into beast. I need to readjust. If you need to readjust your hands and feet, that's okay. You can get into the swing of things. Let's go right leg under switch, which will bring us into our crab. So right leg under switch all the way over into our crab. Let's keep going in that circle. So left leg under switch will bring us to beast. Right leg under switch will bring us to crab. And then let's go the other way. Right leg under switch will bring us to beast. Left leg under switch will bring us to crab. Right leg under switch. One last time, left leg under switch. And we're back into our crab position. Again, chest proud, shoulders pulling back, and just adjust if you need to. We're going to come into our crab reach. So crab reach, we know we need to take our heels, well, our whole foot, feet a little bit wider than hip distance, so still hips off the floor. Let's go right arm crab reach. So right hand comes in front of the face. We'll lift the hips up first, find your 3-point bridge position, then add the rotation. Reach your fingertips to floor, arm frame in the head, looking down at the bottom hand, trying to stack the shoulders one on top of the other. De-rotate, so hand and head back to ceiling, and then lower the hips down. Bring the right hand to the floor, and let's go left arm crab reach. So left arm or left hand in front of the face. 3-point bridge first, then reaching the arm. Now, if it's a left arm crab reach, trying to get your left shoulder on top of your right shoulder. So I'm trying to rotate my chest towards the left, towards the right in this case. And then unrotate or derotate and lower the hips back down. And you can bring the hand back towards the floor or back to the floor. So you're back in your crab position. Feet might be a little bit wider, but that's okay. Let's take that straight up into a left leg, I can't even say it, left leg scorpion. Yeah, so left leg scorpion, we'll do a full scorpion. So the left leg is going to travel under, and it's going to keep traveling all the way up. I'm just going to hitch forward a little bit so I don't hit my lamp. All the way up to our top position. So my right knee's bent, my right heel is lifted. I'm pushing the floor away with the arms. And my shin parallel to the ceiling, hopefully. Take it into a full scorpion. We're going to straighten the leg. Come onto the outside edge of the foot. Keep reaching your left hand to the floor. Pivot, pivot, pivot. Until you come all the way over into your modified crab position. That's it. Yep, nicely done. Let's go straight into a right leg scorpion. So the right leg is going to come under. Going to pivot. You might need to sort out that right hand. All the way up into your top position again. Move if you need to, if you've not got enough space. Straighten the leg, outside edge of the left foot, all the way over into your modified crab position. And then all you need to do is bend the left leg in organize your hands and you're back through to your crab. So from here, let's do an under switch to a loaded beast. So I'm going to go left leg under switch to loaded beast. Knees are hovering, pulling out to the side, chest down towards the floor, still about an inch off the floor with the legs. And let's go wave and load from there. So load the hips up to the ceiling first. Hips high, heels high. Round to the spine on a wave motion through the spine, traveling forward. When you can't get any further forward, the hips are going to lower, squeeze the glutes, the chest, and the gaze are the last thing to lift. Traveling back, chin to chest, push the floor away, round the spine as you go back up to that peak position. Heels high, hips high, and then bending the knees back down to your loaded beast. Let's go one more time. Hips high, heels high, rounding the spine, chin to chest. Hips lowering, glutes squeezing, chest and gaze last thing to lift. Taking it back, chin to chest. Rounding the upper back, mid back, lower back, lifting to that peak position. And then bending the knees back down to loaded beast. And you can rest the knees down there. Come off your wrists for a moment. So we're just going to finish off with some side kick throughs, just because it's so good for the rotation through the shoulder. So we're going to start off in our beast position, static beast position here. When you're ready, let's activate that. So hovering the knees and then side kick through. So I'm going to call a left leg side kick through. So if we're going left, the left leg comes under, the big toes find each other, the heel drops from the right. The leg kicks and the right elbow is pulling high, back and high. I'm trying to reach the kicking leg as far as I can forward. And then bend the left leg in, big toes find each other again. The heel lifts so that you can pivot back through to your beast position. And we same thing on the other side. So right leg side kick through, pivot, big toes find each other, heel drops, kick, pull the elbow back and high, bend the leg back in, heel lifts, so you can pivot back through to your beast and then lower the knees down just briefly. So I could get the crap off my hands. Some gravel here. I don't know gravel in the house, but anyway. Let's do again. Same thing either side. Over the knees, left leg side kick through, pivot through, drop the heel, kick the leg, pull the elbow high and back, bend the left leg, lift the heel, pivot back through to beast, other side, side kick through, pivot back through to beast. Let's do one more each side. Pivot through, left leg side kick through, back through to beast, right leg side kick through, back through to beast, and lower the knees down. And again, just come off your wrists. Wrist relief position. Oh. Hello, cat. All right, so just we've been working on these front steps. We're not going to do the kick through. We're just going to do the stepped as a bit of a cool down. Just shift the cat. So you're going to start off in loaded beast. So bringing the chest down towards the floor, head between the arms, toes tucked, knees wider than hips. She always goes when I'm just about to step. When you're ready, hover the knees, right leg front step. So right leg's going to come all the way forward. The right elbow pulls back, hand in towards the ribs. And just getting it out of the way, essentially. And then we're stepping straight back to where we were. So as the hand comes down, the leg moves. Hand, leg, back to loaded beast. Left leg front step, left foot lands, left hand pulls in guard position. And then same thing, the hand comes down as the foot goes back to your loaded beast. Same again, right leg front step, big step, throw it forward. And then stepping back to your loaded beast, left leg front step, step it back to loaded beast, one more each side, right leg front step, you just move your tail just in time, didn't you? And back to loaded beast, left leg front step, step back to loaded beast, and then release the knees down, breathe a sigh of relief. As we come into our pretzel, so lying on one side, top leg bends up, grab hold of the bottom ankle, pull that bottom leg back to really find the hamstring, not the hamstring, the quads and the hip flexors. And then opening the chest to the ceiling, breathe and release. I've got something in my eye. And when you're ready, slowly come out of that. Don't let your legs twang away from you. And we'll turn over and do the other side. So top knee, bottom ankle, pull that bottom leg back behind you. Think about tucking the tailbone under slightly if you can, to really switch on the glute, the quad stretch. And then opening the chest to the ceiling. You can focus on getting the knee down or the foot, or like I'm doing, just balancing it out in the middle. Feeling a little bit like I've eaten too many Yorkshire puddings. And then same again, steady away as you release that bottom leg. Don't let it swing away from you. And we are done. The last session of 2023. 2022. I'm just wishing the entire year away here.
Don't do that.